is Dee, and this is Dee's Reading Lounge. Welcome to a new video. If you are new here, I do welcome you, and I do invite you to subscribe down below if you're interested in all bookish things. I read a variety of genres. If you are returning, thanks so much for coming back. I really do appreciate your continued support. So in this video, I am going to be doing a affordable book haul. So if you guys have been watching my video and know something about my reading taste, you will know that I am not a new book buying person. I don't really visit big box bookstores like Barnes and Nobles, Books A Million, you know, the big new stores that charge crazy prices for their books. Once in a while I will here and there, but I am more of a thrift store, used bookstore, even at Amazon. I feel some type of way about that, but right now I do have to keep it real. Their books are affordable, and I just don't want to be spending a whole lot of money on books. That may change over time, like slowly walking away from Amazon. You know, I don't know. We'll see. But my thing is saving money on books, because books can be very expensive. And so I want to show you what I was able to find at 2 local thrift stores. So I haven't been book shopping at thrift stores in a while because, number one, I was on a book buying ban earlier, like in the year. It started in April, ended in April, May, June, July. It ended in the end of June. So July was when I was really free to buy books, which I have. If you've been watching my channel, I have bought books. But I've been trying to be more intentional, and I'm periodically doing unhauls and stuff like that. Shopping at thrift stores and used bookstores are one way that I like to buy books or consume books. And so I want to also show that you can get some really interesting books. Maybe not the newest books that are just coming out. You may have to buy those new, but you don't have to be rich to read if we're just talking about reading, okay? Not really keeping up with the latest and greatest and the Joneses, what the Joneses are reading and things like that. If you don't care about that and you just want to read, check your local bookstore out. You can find some gems. And this book haul that I'm going to show you all is proof of that. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so I visited 2 local bookstores. They were both Goodwills, and both Goodwills, the price remained the same. So kudos for Goodwill, $1.39 for hardbacks and $1.29 for paperbacks. So I think I only got 1 paperback. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so the first book that I want to show is called The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. Now, this is an older book. However, the premise, is this a bookmark? Somebody left a bookmark in here. So I got a free bookmark. It's an older book, but I read the back of the book and it sounded really good. So let me just quickly read the back of the book, or the sleeve, for you. So I'm not going to read all of it because I like to kind of go into books blind. If I'm not really losing anything, and I will be donating them because I do book hauls, unhauls frequently, and I will be donating them to a local community or the free library or something like that. All right, so back to this book. So it says, after losing his leg to a landmine in Afghanistan, Cormoran Strike is barely scraping by as a private investigator. Strike is down to 1 client and creditors are calling. He has also just broken up with his longtime girlfriend and is living in his office. Then John Bristow walks through his door with an amazing story. His sister, the legendary supermodel Luna Landry, known to her friends as the Cuckoo, famously fell to her death a few months earlier. The police ruled it a suicide, but John refuses to believe that. The case plunges Strike into the world of multimillionaire beauties, rock star boyfriends, and desperate designers, and it introduces him to every variety of pleasure, enticement, seduction, and delusion known to man. So that sounds really good, y'all. So it's more of a crime fiction novel. It sounds really good. So it is quite thick, I would say, over 400 pages. Maybe this will be a good one to get in the fall and winter time. So if I have not read this, I'm going to give myself 6 months. If I have not read this in 6 months, then I will be unhauling it. But it sounds really good. All right. So the next book I want to share with you it's so funny how all the books or things that I've been interested in lately, I've been finding at the used bookstore. If you watch my used bookstore vlog video, I was looking for a book by Harriet Tubman, and voila, I walk in and boom, there's a great brand, almost spanking new copy used. So I have been interested in the Astor, the Vanderbilt since getting back into the Gilded Age. I'm finally caught up on that series, and y'all, I'm absolutely loving it with everybody else. And so I actually watched a documentary on YouTube. You know, YouTube is great. You can find a lot of documentaries and just informational things on YouTube. I watched the documentary on Gloria Vanderbilt because she's kind of mixed up in this whole era. And of course the Astors in the Gilded Age. So this one is called When the Astors Own New York, Blue Bloods and Grand Hotels in a Gilded Age by Justin Kaplan. So this one, let's see, when was this published? I'm so glad they decided to make this a series because I love, if you know me and what I like to watch, I love period pieces. You know, I cannot find a publishing date, so I'll have to investigate more about this. But anyway, When the Astors Own New York, Blue Bloods and Grand Hotels in a Gilded Age. So this follows or tells the true story of the Astors. And it's even got pictures in here. And this is a used book, so I love those burnished edges. You can tell this has been sitting on somebody's shelf for like probably years. It doesn't smell anything. I did sanitize the books, which I do with all of my used books. So I think this is a gem, especially since it's been like a topic or era that I've been interested in. All right, so the next book is a book by someone else that I realized that I didn't really have I've never read anything by, but she wrote The Color Purple. This is Alice Walker, and this is Anything We Love Can Be Saved, a writer's activist. Alice Walker, a writer's activism. So let me just read the back of the book. It says, there is always a moment in any kind of struggle when one feels in full bloom, vivid, alive. One might be blown to bits in such a moment and still be at peace. To be a person or to witness anyone at this moment of transcendent presence is to know that what is human is linked by a daring comparison to what is divine. During my years of being close to people engaged in changing the world, I have seen fear turn into courage, sorrow into joy, funerals into celebration, because whatever the consequences, people stand side by side, have expressed who they really are, and that ultimately they believe in love, in the love of the world and each other enough to be that, which is the fountain of activism. So, I guess it's maybe short stories, maybe, I don't know, an anthology maybe, I don't know. So can't wait to get into this at some point. If I don't read it within 6 months, or at least some stories, I'm gonna be giving it away. Okay, so the next book that I want to show you is by an author I have been meaning to read because I heard she's a good palate cleanser. If you want something light, just funny, relatable probably, but crazy, family dynamics. I think I even heard murder maybe, I don't know. It is Mary Monroe. So this is God Don't Like Ugly by Mary Monroe. I just recently purchased a book. I think it's called She Had It Coming by Mary Monroe. And so I probably have seen this one 1,000 times at the bookstore, but because probably me being bougie, thinking this book was too, I don't know, immature or whatever, I didn't pick it up. But you know, I want to try. Okay, I'm guilty, y'all. I'm guilty. I want to try her writing. So it says, in her richly drawn new novel, Mary Monroe brings to life the bond between two girls from opposite sides of the track and the shattering event that changes their lives forever. At the heart of the story is Annette Good, a shy, awkward, overweight child who keeps a terrible secret. Mr. Boatwright, the boarder her hardworking mother has taken in, abuses her daily. Frightened and ashamed, Annette withdraws into a world of books and food. Yeah, that sounds really good, y'all. So I'm glad I finally picked this up after the 1001 time I've seen it at the bookstore. All right, so this next book, you might be shocked to know that I found this at the thrift store for $1.39. And it is by Jada Pinkett Smith. Worthy by Jada Pinkett Smith. So Jada Pinkett, this, I've known of her writing her autobiography or memoir, but I really didn't care, y'all. I really didn't care, to be honest with you. But since it was $1.39, I was like, you know what? I want to see what she's talking about in this book. I want to see if she's, going to be vulnerable. She's going to be transparent in the book. I'm very interested now that I saw the book. And so we hope to read this soon. I really love like the inside of the book, like the beginning of the paragraph is in bold red letters. You can tell. So that's very interesting. Very interesting. Look to this book. Okay. All right. So hopefully we'll get to this soon. This is probably one that I'll just keep on my shelf until I'm ready to read it because, I really, yeah. All right. What's next? Okay. So the next book is this one right here. This one is by Patricia Falvey. It's called The Titanic Sisters. And it's in, I would say, okay condition, good condition. You can tell it's a used book, but the premise, y'all, sounds so good. That's why I bought this one. So this one was $1.29. So it says Delia Sweeney. It's a period piece, of course. Okay, so my favorite. So it says Delia Sweeney has always been unlike her older sister, fair and delicate compared to tall, statuesque Nora, whose hair is dark as Donegal turf. In other ways, too, the sisters are leagues apart. Nora is her mother's darling, favored at every turn and expected to marry into wealth. Delia, constantly slighted, finds a measure of happiness helping her die on the farm. Okay. The rest of the time, she reads about far-off places that seem sure to remain a fantasy until the day a letter arrives from America. A distant relative have provided the means for Delia and Nora to go to New York. Delia will be a lowly maid in a modest household, while Nora will be a governess for a well-to-do family. In Queenstown, Cork, they board the Titanic, a majestic new ocean liner, making its maiden voyage. Any hope Delia carried that she and her sister might become closer during the trip vanishes, for there are far greater perils to contend with as the ship makes its way across the Atlantic. In the wake of that fateful journey, Delia makes an impulsive choice and takes Nora's place as governess. Her decision sparks an adventure that leads her from Fifth Avenue to Dallas, Texas, where oil fields bring unimagined riches to some, despair to others. Delia grows close to her vulnerable young charge and to the girl's father, but her deception will have repercussions impossible to foresee, even as it brings happiness within reach for the first time. So, y'all, did you hear that? That sounds so good. So I don't know what happens to the sister. Delia decides to take her sister's place instead of being the maid, to take her place as the governess, where her sister's position was going to be. What happened to the sister? So it's like, after I read that, I was like, as soon as I left the thrift store, I was thinking about this book. I was like, I got to get to this book because I want to know. It sounds really interesting. It's in that whole Gilded Age period. it seems like. Okay, so the last book that I want to share with you all is another memoir. Now, same thing. I really wasn't really interested in this memoir or this person's memoir, but since it was $1.39 and I have heard people read this book say it was really, really good. They gave it 5 stars. So I said, why not? It's in perfect condition. So it is Open Book by Jessica Simpson. It's her memoir. And so, you know, she was popular back in the 2000s. And so I really wasn't a Jessica Simpson fan or whatnot, but, you know, I know some of her songs and stuff. So kind of like grew up with her a little bit, you know, so to speak. So it was very tragic what happened to her, like in her adulthood. And so I'm interested in hearing more about it because I did hear that this book was a 5-star. So y'all, that is it. Those are the books that I found at the thrift store. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books that six books at $1.39 times 5 and $1.29 times 1. You really can't beat that for 6 books. So that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this is, you know, kind of encouraged you to go out to check out some of your local thrift stores for some books. You might be surprised at what you might find. I'll see you guys in the next video.